want to push those.
They're just that.
Just the back and forth, and that is a laser pointer.
Okay, just back and forth. Okay. And do I have to point it anywhere?
It's a radio signal. So.
Okay.
Have at her, yeah.
Okay.
Welcome, everybody. Good evening. Hello. Thank you very much for coming this evening. This is a rare opportunity to hear one of the most special people on earth, I think, talk about an amazing company that we really love. And I think what the difference in the world is there are people who think about what they're doing and they're thinking about making pretty things and all this stuff, but Emeco is a company that really reflects the incredible values that I think all of us asked, or if we were asked, what really are the values that you really want in a product and in your world, this company embodies those values. So it is a true honor for us to have Gregg here talking tonight. Just before he starts, I want to thank the Inform team, who always do such an incredible job. I don't know if you know that now Michael Young, our incredible tech guy, has been able to figure out how to live stream these talks. So if you can't make it wherever you are, you can live stream them, which is pretty amazing. They're also then edited and put online, so you can always go back to old talks and see things that have happened. We are really proud to offer this venue and this opportunity almost weekly to Vancouver. We're really proud. So now, Gregg.
Well, it's a real honor for me, Nancy and Nels, to be in your home here today, and the whole Inform staff. You guys are incredible, and what you have built here is really amazing. There's nothing like it in the world. In the world of design, Nels, you've brought more to the world than I think any other single person. It's congratulations. So I've come here today with a simple solution for a really big problem. The problem is ocean waste, and the solution is a chair. It all started in World War II with the U.S. Navy. Let's see if I get this right. The Navy had some stringent requirements. They needed a chair for Navy ships. They needed something that was lightweight. Anything above the waterline on a Navy ship, it causes the ship to roll with the seas. They needed something that was non-corrosive. Out in the salt water, anything else would rust or corrode. They needed something fireproof. Fire on a boat is just lethal. They needed something non-magnetic so that it wouldn't affect the instruments. And probably most of all, they needed something super strong because they had the big burly sailors that would destroy anything on the boats. So to satisfy all of these requirements, Emeco came up with a unique 77-step process. And if you're ever interested, Eames will be here next week. He did a film in Emeco called 77 Steps. And it's a really great one to watch. So Emeco took this process, combined it with this extraordinary material. Do we say aluminium here or aluminum?
Aluminum.
Aluminum, okay. I always get corrected. And craftsmanship. And the result was so good, it became standard issue for all the U.S. warships, battleships, aircraft carriers, submarines. They even used it in the Navy hospitals, in the Navy prison. So proof to
I can hit it again.
Yeah, you just have to hit it.
Here we have one pristine, mint condition Emeco Navy chair, designed to withstand torpedo blasts. Let's see if it can stand and be hurt with a brick wall, shall we? There we go. After throwing the chair against the wall about 50 times at a huge velocity, it's still in pristine condition. A few minor scratches here and there, one chair leg minus, but apart from that, still nice.
And remember folks, do find it at home.
So this is it. This is the chair, the 1006 Navy chair. Light, strong, everything that a chair should be. It's tested to last 150 years. We guarantee it for life. It's made with 80% recycled material. So I mean, it's the ultimate in sustainability. You know, back in World War II, they didn't have enough aluminum, so they had scrap drives, and the Americans would collect their aluminum to donate to the war effort, and they felt patriotic. I think that was the first recycling that took place. So we've been recycling now for 75 years. So let me tell you how I fit into this story. I grew up in Huntington Beach, and I used to surf before school and after school, and as my mom would say, sometimes during school, if the surf was good. And when you're in the ocean, you develop a real strong appreciation for the environment, and you see dolphins and you see seabirds, and so I really was involved with ecology and took Mr. Neal's ecology class in high school, and that's what I cared about. My mom was an artist and a designer, so she had crafts and projects around the house, and my dad was an engineer, and he did understructures of chairs, and one company he worked for was Herman Miller, and Herman Miller had projects with designers like Charles Eames. And my dad would work on understructures of some of these projects, and they would go to trade shows. And after the trade shows were over, they weren't sellable products because they weren't production products. And they would give it to my dad. So I grew up in this mid-century modern home with Eames, what they call now prototypes, and you know, an incredible environment that revolved around design, engineering, and a love for the environment. Now in Los Angeles, when it rains, and it's been raining a lot now, the water runs from the cities down what they call the rivers, but they're really flood control channels, concrete flood control channels, and it washes all this waste and trash and dirt and grime into the oceans. The oceans are like big toilets of pollution. It's just terrible. The beaches are full of anything that will float, Bic lighters, straws, bags, and they put notices to stay out of the ocean because it's loaded with bacteria and you get staph infections. So it's really a terrible thing to see and experience. And imagine what it does to the sea life. Every year, there's 1 million seabirds that are killed by marine litter. There's just tons and tons of plastic that go into the ocean. They say it's like a garbage truck every minute that's going in. By the year 2050, there's going to be more plastic in the ocean than fish. So, you know, the problem with plastic is it doesn't go away. It slowly breaks down into small particles, into these small little particles they call microplastics. The microplastics, they coagulate, and then they form these islands called the Great Pacific Ocean or Garbage Patch. And the problem with when it breaks down, it's the size of plankton. And the fish eat it, and then the seabirds eat the fish, and sea turtles eat it, and other marine life, and finally, to humans. But there is hope. There's a lot we can do. We had a great opportunity approach us back in 2006. An opportunity to really do something about plastic and make something with the plastic that is sustainable. This story is really, it's dear to my heart because it's about sustainability. And the story starts with Coca-Cola. They approached me and said, we want to do something with these plastic bottles. There's millions and millions of these that are in the landfill or going to the landfill. It's the best way to transport our beverages. We'd like to work with you and see if you can invent a way to upcycle material to make it structurally sound. Our goal is to inspire other companies and to keep this plastic out of landfills and out of the ocean. So we decided that we would take on this challenge, and we worked for 4 years with material scientists, with chemists, with engineers to figure out a way to make the plastic solid enough, strong enough, that would be a sustainable product, a product that wouldn't have to be recycled again. And what we came up with was this chair. It's not about the design of an object. It's about the design of the material. It's the same identical chair as our 1006 Navy chair. And we chose to do this because it was so important for us to work on a material and to show people this is about it. So right now, so far, we keep about 10 million bottles out of the landfill just in Emeco. But I've gotten calls from Adidas. I've talked to people at Nike, Timberland. Usually about once a month, someone calls me, and we share with them what material we use. We use all non-toxic pigments, which weren't being used before. And it's really exciting to see that we've also inspired a lot of other people. So it's a movement that I think has gained a lot of momentum. So this is one of our engineers, and she's working on the material. And the goal of what we're doing is not only to make the chair structurally sound, but something that people love and want to keep. So we continue to work on other materials and other products, and we work with the best designers in the world. And so we work with a lot of different designers, and I'll kind of have a summary of projects we've worked on, but over the last 20 years, it's been a lot of, really terrific designers, and it all started with Philippe Stark. I met him at a trade show, and he said, I've always dreamed of doing a chair with Emeco. And he said, I just want to wash it. So if you look at these two chairs, this chair should be just a brush finish, but anyway, he took away the bottom stretcher and he made the back more neutral. And then we learned how to polish. This one we polished later on. It was never polished, it was always just a brush finish. So really what Stark did, it looks so simple, but it changed Emeco's business. We all of a sudden went from an industrial company that made product for Navy ships to a design company. And now the designers, architects in the world knew about Emeco. So this was a real important step for us to make, and it was a really exciting thing to make. Stark went on to say he had come to the factory and he said, you know, the problem with Emeco when you come to the factory is it takes a long time. There's a lot of handwork and all the steps that you have to go through. You know, we take the aluminum and we cut it and we form it and we weld it and we grind it and we anneal it and we heat treat it and we hand finish it and we anodize it. It's a lot of work, and he said, you know, you're never going to be able to compete unless you employ new technology, new materials, and he designed a chair called, before then it was called something else. It was called, we now call it the broom. And we never made the broom when he first designed it back in 2001, because when he designed it, I couldn't find any materials that were recycled to do it with. Only virgin materials, and I refused to make anything with virgin materials. So after we did the 111 chair, and I met these really bright chemists, they would say, you know, Gregg, there's some other materials we could use on this chair. And I said, I have another chair I want to use on this chair. It's for PET bottles. And so we worked on this chair with factory waste. And what Stark called it, he's called it the broom because he said you just sweep up the factory waste and you use less and it's better. And it's been a really great chair. It's comfortable, it stacks, it's made well, and it was the first design plastic chair we ever did, but we didn't make it for 11 years until we knew about how to do the material. Another really interesting project was this guy right here. His name is Oke Sato. Oke Sato has a company called Nendo. Oke Sato came over to the Emeco factory and visited us, and he wanted to look around and he wanted to see all the different materials, because we're always working on different materials to see what other kinds of waste we could use. And we showed him, well, this wood is from old barns, 200, 300-year-old barns in Pennsylvania, and they tear them down. And so when you look at this chair closely, you'll see the wormholes and everything. But anyway, he looked at that. He looked at, we have some concrete we were working on with 50% recycled glass. We had cork from trees where they harvest the bark off trees, and also from woodworms. We had plastic, it was polyethylene from milk cartons, baby diapers. So we walked around and looked at all of them, and he said, why don't we do all of them? Which was really a challenge for us, but it was really interesting because when we worked on whatever the material was, we really push our suppliers and we get them to help us. And they share whatever we develop with other companies. So someone that needs concrete that's more environmentally right, that won't hurt the environment as much, won't cause as much greenhouse gases, the supplier of the material will provide it for other companies. And it's interesting to see how the products are used and how we compare them. And like, the cork one is one of my favorites. It's light, you can pour drinks on it, it doesn't soak in. But the concrete one is really amazing. It's super heavy, and I thought, well, this might not make a good chair, but I went to a friend's house, and in their shower, they have this little concrete stool with the aluminum base, And they said it's perfect for sitting down and shaking your legs, and it doesn't move. It's soft. So I mean, it's just fun to see the chairs in the wild. Another chair we did. This is the first chair we did with Jasper Morrison, and this is the same material as we used on the broom, the factory waste, and then the wood is from. We have some Amish friends that are in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, and they take ash from the ash trees, from the ash elm beetle kills the trees, and we use the lumber from them. And it's the same lumber they use in baseball bats. It's really good. And when you build things, like you can't have a leg unsupported without braces unless you really super beef up the joint. And we worked and worked and worked until it passed the test that we always do. It's ANSI BIFMA. So it's really a super strong chair, and it's designed to really last a long time. That was the whole point of doing this. So this is the president of Emeco. And you can see we don't take ourselves too seriously. And she's in Milan. This is last year, where we introduced this last chair. And this is called 1-inch reclaimed, and made with 90% recycled materials. And it's comfortable. It's just a great chair. It stacks. It does everything. And right now, actually, the Museum of Modern Art has an exhibition called The Value of Good Design. And they're comparing what design was in the 50s to what it is today in terms of what problems are designers solving and what materials are they using. And they use this chair as an example. And it's just it's a really nice chair. So this is testing the base of the chair. So we aren't perfect. We do have problems that have occurred, but it's interesting because when we solve the problems, like on the Alfie chair, we kept breaking the legs when we saw that, and we keep beefing it up and beefing it up until we end up with a chair that there's nothing like it on the market. We make it so strong. When we were working on the 111 chair, the material is very difficult to work with. You have to heat it up, make it super hot to flow through the molds, but at the same time, the molds have to be heated up, so it flows. And at first, we had more rejects than good chairs. And then we started to work with our engineers and try to figure out what can we do with all these rejects. And we would grind up and we put like 10% of the material back into the original chair to try to make that work. And we started to play with the material. Now we've been playing with the material for a decade. And this year in Milan, we have a material that we can do a closed loop chair. We can make a chair from a chair. So that we have one out in the field for however long it's out in the field. If someone wants a new chair, we now have the ability to grind it up and make it into a new chair. So it's exciting, and I think it's something that we work on and we work towards all the time. And I hope that today, this short talk, that you're inspired by our success and sustainability, and that maybe there's some things that everybody could do. Because at Emeco, we all of us feel pretty proud of being able to take other people's outputs and make it into our input. And we all we turn the lights off in the hotel room, and we take shorter showers, and we're just more mindful. And we hope that this could rub off, and we travel with reusable bottles, and we don't drink from straws. And I mean, it's little things, but we hope that we've inspired other people enough to join us in this cause, because it's an important one. So thank you for coming today.
Are there any questions? I have questions, but I'm going to let you guys ask questions. Any questions?
The biggest problem in terms of getting people to go after things as sustainable is the concept of whether it's profitable, unfortunately. Can you discuss that at all? Is that a fair question?
The question was, the biggest problem of going after something sustainable is the profit portion of it. And it is a problem. It is a problem, especially for big corporations that have to have quarterly reports. It's a big problem for where there's a lot of shareholders. Fortunately with Emeco, it's just me, and I go after the problems that are important. So like the 111 chair. Virgin material is about half the cost. Virgin material, I wouldn't have any rejects. Virgin material, the tooling would be cheaper. It's something that I could produce the same chair probably for 30, 40, 50% less if I used a material that was bad for the environment. I choose to do what I think is the best thing and the right thing. So I think it takes, you know, people to join this, but I don't have confidence in big. I think it's going to take entrepreneurs to really drive that. My dad, as I mentioned, was a furniture guy, and he had a company in California, which I'm also back in he bought Emeco.
I was just curious, is there any waste created during the process of breaking down the materials to create the chairs? And what's done with that?
Okay. There's waste in anything we do. There's energy, there's transportation, there's always some. We look at every single step in the process, and we try to reduce what we do and be as smart about it as we can. But in terms of, like, when we're doing aluminum, we have drums and barrels that we sweep all the scrap aluminum into, and that gets recycled. So we try to recycle everything we possibly. 2 weeks ago, I was in Stockholm, and we had an opportunity to meet. That all the food is used. So, you know, he's serving really high-end food, but his whole that we're mindful about, you know, making sure there's just no waste. And I think that
when you were evolving your product and bringing it to just walking us through that a bit?
we did a prototype, no dimensions. And, you know, I think at times it was probably frustrating, but what I've learned is all the effort you put, it really pays off. Stark is incredibly fun and funny, and he's taught me a lot, and they're always different, and how he's really he wants to go someplace nobody's ever been before. He wants to do something, and he doesn't care about the to do, you know. So to Foster and Norman Foster. You know, Norman, these legs will break, and he said, well, make the interior diameter long enough. So every single person, how they approach it, he will work on a project. And but carbon footprint, life cycle analysis. We need to look all the way to the packaging. Everything needs to be considered to make useful products last a long. Needs to change from just form and function, how it will be relevant for today.
Questions?
Gregg,
Beach plastic. Did I say that? You know, what happens in every industry, and you hear from the marketing people about all these great things, and you see some product, and you know, they write great stories. The reality is, if you're using material that's so contaminated, so it will have and whatever. In the ocean, and you can't make a structure. You could do maybe more product. Our chairs would be really hard to do.